It is the document that has become the most important piece of paper in Nigeria right now. A legal plea written by the hand of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself from the isolation of his new cell in the northwest. If you have been following the saga, you know that the transfer to Sokoto was a shocker. But the response from the IPOB leader has been swift, calculated, and legally explosive. The headline is simple: why I don't want to stay in Sokoto Prison. But the details contained in the fresh motion filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja are anything but simple. They reveal a man who is fighting not just for his freedom, but for his ability to even access the justice system that convicted him. We are broadcasting this special deep dive analysis today, Thursday, December 4th, 2025, to break down the specific constitutional reasons Nnamdi Kanu has given for demanding an immediate transfer out of Sokoto. We are looking at the 700-kilometer barrier, the logistical nightmare of appealing a life sentence from a remote location, and the terrifying security context of the Lakurawa terror group that makes Sokoto a potential death trap for a high-profile prisoner like Kanu. We are also going to unpack the drama that unfolded in court today when his younger brother, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, tried to stand in for him, only to be shot down by the judge. Let's get straight to the gist of Kanu's argument. In a motion ex parte personally signed by him, which is a rare move that shows his desperation and determination, Kanu has laid out a case that hinges on his fundamental right to a fair hearing. His primary argument is geographical and logistical. He states clearly that the Sokoto Correctional Facility is over 700 kilometers away from Abuja. Now, why does this matter? Because Abuja is where his legal battle is happening. Abuja is where the Court of Appeal is located. Abuja is where the registry of the Federal High Court is. By keeping him in Sokoto, the government has effectively placed a physical barrier between him and the tools he needs to fight his conviction. Kanu argues that the preparation of his notice of appeal and the compilation of records requires his personal interface with the registry. He needs to sign documents, he needs to review evidence, and he needs to strategize with his legal team. But here is the catch. All his lawyers, all his consultants, and all his relatives are based in Abuja or the southeast. Expecting his legal team to fly or drive to Sokoto, a region currently plagued by banditry and terrorism, every time they need to consult him is not just impractical, it is dangerous. Kanu claims this renders his constitutional right to appeal impracticable and occasions exceptional hardship. He is essentially saying, you convicted me, fine, but don't make it impossible for me to challenge that conviction. He is asking for the court to a specific remedy, transfer him to a facility within the jurisdiction of the court. He suggested Kuje Prison, Suleja, or Kefi. These are facilities within the Federal Capital Territory or neighboring states, reachable within an hour or two. This request exposes the government's strategy. By moving him to Sokoto, they didn't just pick a random prison, they picked the one farthest from his support system. It is a tactic of isolation. But there's a darker, unspoken reason why Kanu might be desperate to leave Sokoto, and it has to do with safety. While his motion focuses on legal access, we cannot ignore the Lakurawa factor. We've been reporting on the new terror group, Lakurawa, that has infiltrated Sokoto and Kebbi states from the Sahel. These are not just local bandits. They are foreign-backed jihadists who are seizing territory and imposing their own laws. Just days ago, we had reports of them attacking communities in Kebbi. Keeping a high-value target like Nnamdi Kanu in a prison located in the heart of this insurgency is a massive risk. If the prison is attacked, as we saw in Kuje in 2022 and in Niger State recently, Kanu would be a sitting dog. His transfer request is likely also a plea for survival in a region that is currently a war zone. The drama in court today added another layer to this struggle. Since Kanu sacked his legal team just before the judgment to protest the trial, he is currently unrepresented by counsel. This is why his younger brother, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, tried to move the motion on his behalf, but Justice James Omotosho refused to hear him. The judge was blunt. You cannot represent a human being when you are not a lawyer. He advised Prince Emmanuel to get a lawyer or approach the Legal Aid Council. This creates a catch-22. Kanu needs a lawyer to move the motion to get him closer to his lawyers, but because he is in Sokoto, it is hard for him to interview and engage new lawyers. The judge adjourned the case to December 8th. This gives Kanu just 4 days to find a counsel to argue for his transfer. The judge also made a controversial comment, warning Kanu's former lawyer, Aloy, Ejimakor, about misleading the public. Justice Omotosho insisted that a convict doesn't need to be physically present to compile records of appeal. He said the rights of a defendant are different from the rights of a convict. He is essentially saying, you convicted me, fine, but don't make it impossible for me to challenge that conviction. So where does this leave us? We have a prisoner who is fighting a legal battle from 700 kilometers away. We have a family scrambling to find legal representation by Monday. And we have a security situation in the Northwest that makes every trip to Sokoto a life or death gamble. Nnamdi Kanu's motion is not just about logistics, it's about his fundamental right to fair hearing and his physical safety. If the court rejects this motion on December 8th, Kanu will remain in the Sokoto trap, isolated from his team and vulnerable to the insecurity of the region. What do you think? Is the government using distance as a weapon to frustrate Kanu's appeal? And should the court grant his transfer back to Abuja for the sake of fair hearing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll be watching the court on December 8th to see if Kanu gets his wish.